couple familiar faces joining me tonight. Our in-house Mad Bomber, sporting a brand new hairdo. Looks good.
Yeah,
Right on. And our special guest this evening, Carrell. JJ, great to see you.
Thank you much. Thanks, Chris, for having me back on. I appreciate it. Look forward to having this discussion today.
Yeah, actually, and I'm watching the comments roll, and we're broadcasting out to half a dozen different platforms that they're really excited to hear about your movie and stuff. So normally the first time that we have somebody on, I let them introduce themselves so I don't make a mistake. And then after that, I try to handle it myself. So would it be safe to say JJ Carrell, 24-year CBP agent, and probably the most passionate patriot out there when it comes to saving our country? Fair description?
I think it's fair. Yeah, I think it's fair. I'm getting more agitated as the days go by because I see the complete destruction of America happening within. Illegal immigration. 30 million illegal immigrants will come across that border in 4 years, and they will leave a wake of destruction. And then inside that wake, you are going to see unbelievable evil crimes that come out of that. You cannot make this type of destruction of America and think that everything's going to be okay and we're going to come out of it all right. It's insanity.
JJ, did I see you in a recent video on X? Was it Chicago or New York City where you went to a hotel or something like that and it was full of invaders?
That was in Chicago.
Okay, Chicago, yeah. And I didn't recognize the black guy who was with you, but how tall are you?
I'm 6'3".
Yeah, I figured as much. Because the other guy was.
Yeah, the other guy, Mark Carter, he's a buffed out guy, and you know how when you see somebody and their eyes glaze over, like they're in that mindset of I'm ready to kill you. Like,
yeah,
I've seen that so many times in my career. I saw that immediately in his eyes. I was like, okay, this is about to get real fast. And if whoever throws the first punch, it's going to take everything in me to try to control him from physically beating that man to death, because he's so angry and rightfully so.
Yeah.
So the building that you were talking about, it's called the Standard Club. Chicago poured millions of dollars into this building in downtown Chicago, prime real estate, and converted into 1,200 different rooms to house illegal alien single adult military age men mainly from Venezuela. He and I walked in and we were immediately accosted, told that we can't come in, and then the police were called on us. At the same time, 2 illegal alien Venezuelans walked right in, no problem. But a white man and a black man that's paying for it, I can't even go in the lobby. It was infuriating. But
it was mind-boggling. So were you in Chicago for that specifically, or was it just an extra stop while you were there?
No. What we decided is when I told Ryan Matta, who's my business partner in this, we're going to go to San Diego. We're going to start there on our filming because that's my home turf. I know everyone there. I can get access into things. I thought that was a great place to start. And then I said, then we're going to Chicago. And he was like, he'll even tell you. He was like to himself, why in the hell am I going to Chicago? Right. And I knew from my experience and all my research, Chicago is the epicenter of all the destruction. You are about to witness what is going to happen to the rest of America is going to happen in Chicago first. You're going to see the destruction of minority groups in the big city, meaning mainly Black Americans in Chicago, are being physically moved out of their homes to make room for Venezuelan illegal aliens. And it's coming to a head.
Quick question for you. So normally, we have a brief. We follow a similar formula each one, but I don't want to interrupt this conversation because it's really interesting. I'll get to the other stuff in a minute. I was told that TDA specifically looks for areas where there's a high concentration of Venezuelans because the Venezuelans are scared to death of TDA, and it makes it easy picking, so to speak. And apparently Chicago is, like you said, the epicenter for TDA in particular. I didn't know that with other gangs, but apparently was the first place they gained a beach hold. Is that like the case? They went there because there were other Venezuelans, essentially?
Yeah, I believe there's tens, if not hundreds of thousands of Venezuelan illegal aliens in Chicago. And they're used to, why wouldn't you go to where you're used to, right? So now recorded, they're in multiple states. They're in Connecticut, New York, Texas, Colorado, Chicago or Illinois, and a few other that we know in Pennsylvania.
We've actually been receiving bulletins from sheriff's offices here in Florida warning that TDA is here. They've got a concentration in Miami, but they're moving north.
Yes.
And I just can't recall if we discussed this or not, but one of the notices that we got, JJ, was that they were snatching women and children in parking lots, and to be on the lookout. But here's a question for you. So I'm told that the TDA members, they may have identifying tattoos, but they're typically where they can hide them with their clothing. They don't usually have all the facial tattoos, neck tattoos, and they kind of look like just your average everyday Hispanic. Is that the case?
Yeah. You know, when Ryan and I were in Aurora, Colorado, we were just driving through there to one of our interviews. And this was, I would say, July, right? June, July. And we pulled up to this major intersection, and all of a sudden the light turned red. We stopped, and about a half a dozen to a dozen military-age men from 18 to 25, 26 jump out from nowhere wearing hoodies, and they're squeegeeing our car and every other car. And I looked at Ryan. I said, "Oh God, this is the beginning of a takeover of Aurora." And he's like, "Are you sure?" I go, "Just in about a month or two, you're going to call me and say, you won't believe this." And I'm going to say, "Yeah, I do believe it." And that's what's happened. So you have these people come in. The gangs are not all like MS-13 with tats on their face, advertising. Even in American gangs, the new way is to try to dress down, if you will, and to blend in. A lot of Hispanic gangs are doing that. They're not doing the crazy gang tats on their nets, and they need to be able to cover it up with sleeves or in jackets. It's not on their face because they don't need to draw that attention. Why do you want to draw attention? But the illegal alien gangs from Venezuela, from Haiti, from the continent of Africa and the Middle East are here in the millions. And you say, well, our police are going to take care of it. No, they're not. No, they're not. There are 660,000 police officers, state, local, and federal, in the whole of America. Yep. Let me give you an example of how this plays out. Aurora, Colorado, thousands of illegal alien Venezuelans. Just Venezuelans. We're not talking about all the other illegals. Just Venezuelans. Probably 1,000 to probably 2,000 Venezuelan gang members. How many police officers are in Aurora, Colorado? 748.
Wow.
748 on the best day, the best shift. I did this for a living. I did the scheduling on the best day with days off, holiday, vacation, sick leave, training, court. You're looking at the best day. Oh my God, I can't believe we're fully staffed. Maybe 75 to 100. Maybe.
So most agencies right now are short staffed already, right? Like they're already operating at 50 to 75% of what they should be. So you're saying, like, let's say they were operating at 75% if they had everybody show up of what they actually need, that it's only another 75% of that chunk that actually makes it into work. That
maybe. Wow. So you have Venezuelan gangs that are taking over apartment complexes across the nation. So let's say that I have an apartment complex like in Aurora, just one of them, 99 units. 99 units. That's an amazing amount of territory. So you know that the people in there that are running it are armed with long arms and all kinds of ammunition. Who are you going to send in there? You're going to send in your 10 beat cops?
So JJ, I mean, let's be realistic here. It's only a few buildings.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. It's only a few, right? It's only a few.
Yeah, JJ's 100% absolutely correct. I mean, this is beyond being a law enforcement issue now. They've let it go too far. It's no longer a law enforcement issue. Now you're going to have to put hitters in there in order to take these guys down, because they're just getting dug in like a tick at this point.
Like an Alabama tick.
Right. You look at Aurora, Colorado. You know, I have to verify this, but I'm being told they didn't even have a gang unit in their police department because they have 400,000 people in Aurora. That tells you that it was a sleepy suburban town where nobody committed crime. Maybe there was drunk driving, maybe there was something, blah blah blah, but there weren't massive takeovers of neighborhoods. And then I got this. I love this. Is one interview I had. They said, "Well, why You think that this is connected? Like the apartments they're taking over in Florida and San Antonio and Connecticut, you think that's connected? And I'm like, are you serious? Of course. What do you, of course, you, God bless Americans. Listen, the drug cartels and criminal organizations are businesses. They have a structure and hierarchy. Do you think that people are just randomly taking over apartments and neighborhoods across America under the same gang and willy-nilly? No, the CEO has pushed down and said, this is how we're going to gather our land in our area, and then we are going to take it over. And you think that they're taking over apartments and neighborhoods and just sitting there and squatting and drinking a 40? No, they're running drugs, gambling, prostitution, child sex trafficking, hard narcotics, guns. Everything you can imagine is now happening in these neighborhoods, and we allow it.
Quick question, JJ. So I want to say maybe 6 months ago or so, the head of TDA put out a communication to all the members that it was open season on American law enforcement officers. Obviously, that's a scary thing in itself, but what's the significance that holds on the gang side? Like prior to that, would they try to avoid law enforcement or getting into a shootout with law enforcement and they just took the gloves off? Or is this something special? Like they're literally saying, go hunt down cops in America?
Well, what I've learned in my time in the United States Border Patrol, from the human smugglers to the narcotic smugglers, there was like this unwritten rule of, I'm not going to try to kill you, law enforcement, and you don't try to kill me. If you arrest me, then we'll go to jail. We'll try to plead out, but we'll just play this game, okay? Because the moment the cartels kill a Border Patrol agent, an ICE officer, we shut the border down. Like it's done. You killed one of our Robert Rojas down in Alpine. I think it was Alpine or please forgive me, Rojas family. But in that area of the border, we shut the border down. No one took days off. Nobody get on the border. Nobody crosses ever. They don't want that. So the cartels and the gangs don't want that. They don't want that heat on them. They want to work within the parameters of the parameters, right? There's laws, and then there's parameters of where you can come in and spread your filth. But you're talking about third world. So when you import third world gangs, you are going to import a third world mentality where they don't respect law, government, or anything of that nature. And why would we expect a lion to come out of the wilderness, out of the safari, and bring him into a suburban area and think the lion's not going to tear everything to shreds when it's hungry? Why would we import third world savages and think that they would not be savages in our first world? That's the absurdity of America and our way we think.
Very well stated, JJ. I've got a handful of questions. I'm just going to go through. Mike, if you want to, chime in as well, by all means do so. But what was the driving force behind your decision to do the Treason trilogy?
Well, I'm going to be very honest. Ryan Matta, he came and found me on a podcast, and he said, listen, I've always wanted to do a documentary. I've been the border many, many times, but I need someone that speaks like you and talks like you and understands things. And I said, listen, if I do this, I've already been approached by multiple people, and it's all soft core, illegal alien Maria wants to have a better life garbage, which I know there are people like that. But that's not happening. We're talking savages are coming into our terrorists, gang members, soldiers. And he said, that's exactly what I want to do. That's why I'm calling you. And he and I went on a journey for about 5 months of filming. And we were filming What is Treason Invaded? About the invasion of the southern border, who, what, why, and how. What does it look like? What's the manifestation of America with all this treason? And we were going to cover human suffering, human trafficking, and yes, child sex trafficking. Never in my wildest dreams did I understand the complexity and the enormity of the child sex trafficking. Yes.
Well, I was just going to say, I don't know about Mike, but my personal opinion is we're always right where we're supposed to be, right where God wants us to be. And I think it was pretty fortuitous for you and Ryan to cross paths when you did, because for those people who haven't seen the first part of your trilogy, and the second one's being released this week, there's nothing else like it out there.
Oh, thank you. Do you feel, before I go on, do you feel, okay, and I asked this not as a narcissist, because as you and I discussed before, Chris, I have no ownership of the way this is created. Like, I have ownership of the interviews and the words and everything I'm using, but Ryan Matta and his team created the documentary, right? That's a whole different world. Like, you do editing for your show, it's a different world. I can't live, I can't even dip my toe in that world. I don't understand the technology to make it happen. But what Ryan Matta did was took all of our evidence, all of our probable cause, and put it out there and said, in such a articulate way, in a way that is so engaging and so impactful, that, I'll be honest, I've never seen anything like that. And he told me, I'm going to do something you've never seen. You're never going to see it. And I was like, okay, I get you. Like, I respect you. And I think you are incredible person. And I didn't know, man. And when he showed me, I was just like, oh my God, how did you create this? How did you even get your mind to say, this is what I'm going to do, and then do it? Holy mother of God, it was amazing. But I asked you, after prepping it like that, do you feel that, was it that impactful? Because it was for me, and I did it, but I had no idea what he created.
So it was like, number one, certain people have that skill set where they can think through all these rapidly changing scenes and rapidly changing bullets. JJ Morris, one of our guys on our survival dispatch team, is exceptionally good at doing the same thing. And I think it's kind of a skill you either have or you don't. You get a little bit better if you don't have it, but you really have to have a skill. So Ryan said to me, he said, when you watch this, you can't look away for even a few seconds because you'll miss stuff. I can attest to that is the God's honest truth. And so I've got another monitor here, and normally I'm working away and I have this playing, and I've got a TV on that wall over there connected to my other laptop, and it's all going. I put my pen down. I, stopped doing what I was doing on my laptop and watched the whole thing because he was right. And what I'll say is that when the three of us grew up, the average cartoon scene, for Looney Tunes was 3 to 5 minutes. And then after us, when SpongeBob came out and other cartoons like that, the average scene is 3 to 5 seconds. So when you're trying to appeal to a younger crowd, they expect that dopamine hit every 3 to 5 seconds. You and I and Mike, not so much. It's not that we can't appreciate it, but our expectations are different than the generations behind us. Here's what I will say. When I watch stuff that's edited like that, I usually move on to something else pretty quickly, because it's just, it's not too fast for me to process. It just annoys me, to be quite frank. And when I watched the work that Ryan put together with your content, it was captivating, which I can't wait to see the second one. I've seen the first one 3 times now, by the way.
Wow.
He did an amazing job, like absolutely amazing job. I wish that we had him doing our videos, for crying out loud.
He's a genius. He's really a genius. I've gone into his studio and he showed me, and I'm just like, it's like he's got like 20 feet of screens, just 20. And I'm just like, God almighty, dude. My head's hurting just looking at this. And he just does it. He stays up 20-hour days and just does it. So when he and I were crisscrossing America, it became sadly apparently clear that we stumbled upon something evil, and that was pedophilia and child sex trafficking. And we got back home in August, and he started downloading all the hundreds of hours of footage, and he called me and says, hey man, I cannot take this child sex trafficking footage and put it into Invaded. It just doesn't fit. It's too big. It's a standalone. And I was like, well, what does that mean? He's like, it has to be its own documentary. And I'm like, are you serious? We have to release Invaded in October. He goes, I know. I said, can you do it? He goes, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I'm like, 24 days he created that documentary in 24 days. That's incredible. It should have took a team of 4 or 5 editors months to do what he did. It's unbelievable. And he created something and we both looked at each other and said, okay, we had a long discussion. I'll never forget, it's on Saturday morning, and we're having a discussion because we never had any issues. No issues filming, not missing flights, not having bad hotels, people were coming out of the woodwork to allow us to interview them, people that I didn't even know existed. And he told me, sitting down I was right here in the same place, and we were talking, and I said, what's the pros and cons? And we couldn't come up with a con except a lot of hard work. So we said, okay, let's do it. Let's create it. And then we said, we have two problems. Do we hold on to it and do it after invaded? No, we can't sit on this. We can't sit on child sex trafficking and say, we got a lot of bad evil, but we're going to show it to you in 9 months. No, we have to do it now. And then the next thing was, well, how are we going to get it to people? And are we going to charge them? And we just said, you know what? Screw it. Throw it in to what is Treason Invaded, and you get it for free. So if you purchase what is Treason Invaded, you get both documentaries for $9.99. You can't get 2 coffees at Starbucks for $9.99. So we felt like that was the honest thing to do. And I'll be honest with you guys. I'm standing before you today on your podcast, and I'm telling you, I never thought this was where I was supposed to be.
Amazing.
I don't even want to talk. I don't want to even talk about this. I've talked about this probably about my fourth hour-long plus podcast today, talking about child sex trafficking. It is dirty. It's ugly. It's evil. It makes me uncomfortable, and I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. But I feel compelled to have to speak about it, because our federal government has become the largest child sex trafficking organization in modern history, period. And Ryan Matta and I proved it. And we're going to prove that the federal government has intentionally destroyed the American immigration system to use and weaponize illegal immigration to fundamentally transform America, period.
So you have the brief that I put together, and the second question is literally, what is the federal government's role in child sex trafficking? Before you answer that, I want to make a really quick comment, just because you asked what my impression was of Ryan's work. There's a concept when you're putting together a story. It could be a slideshow, it could be a movie, documentary, or whatever, called horizontal and vertical integration. So vertical integration means everything that's on screen has to be related to the topic at hand. Horizontal integration means that this scene has to tie in directly to the next screen, the next screen, and the next screen. And theoretically, you should be able to go anywhere in your documentary and go a few seconds either way. And it's maybe different scenes, but it's all related. Do you know how hard it is to change the visual element every few seconds like Ryan did, communicating tons of information? Human brain processes images thousands of times faster than the written word. Meanwhile, you're narrating, you're talking, he's talking, and the whole thing fits together. It is a very, very complex thing what you and Ryan did. And
I think he created a masterpiece. I really do. And I believe that once this next documentary comes out, I believe if the people are honest in the universities, the film schools will bring him in and say, how did you do this? And we're going to call it the Matta concept. How did you create the Matta format? How? And because it's that, look, I've received emails and DMs and text messages from people I know that are in the business, people that I have no idea who they are. They just reach out to me and they say, most impactful documentary I've ever seen. And then the crazy thing, it shocked me the first several times I heard it, was people said, I've watched it twice.
Yeah.
I'm like,
what? 3 times for me. 3
twice?
times.
Yeah. And you say 3 times, like,
yep.
I've never watched a documentary more than once. I would say 50% of documentaries I start, I don't even finish. And
that's a fair statement for me as well.
So 2 times, and people say to me, because I know I missed stuff. I know I did. So I had to go back and watch it, because there were times that I'm watching it and my brain is stuck 5 minutes back going, what did he just say? There's no way that's true. There's no way that's true. And then I'm like, where am I? Where am I? Oh my God, that can't be true either.
I have a quick question for you that's related to the next question, but I want to give Mike an opportunity if he has any questions on this part before we move on.
So real quick, I just wanted to toss out a couple of questions from the audience. out here. And of course it's a ways back, so I can't find it. Anyway, where's the largest concentration of TDA here in the United States, as far as we know?
Far as we know, I would say New York and Chicago, between those two because that's where the majority of everybody's gone at the beginning. So you have a saturation point in Chicago and New York where now they're bleeding out to Aurora, Colorado, or somewhere in Pennsylvania. But so think of you're this gigantic, you're Amazon. Okay, I have a giant distribution center in Chicago and New York, so I have the most employees at those distribution centers. Now I'm like, hey, you know what? We're going to open up a satellite office in Yorktown, Pennsylvania, and we're going to go down to Aurora, Colorado. And you're like, okay, I need 20 or 30 of you guys to go down there and set that up. Okay, so that's what you're seeing now. You're seeing the gigantic motherships, if you will, distribution centers. And they're the anchors, the stores. They're anchoring in those cities, and now they're spreading across America. You have San Antonio, Texas. They've taken over like 3 or 4 or 5 apartment complexes in San Antonio, Texas. But just like that disgusting woman said to JD Vance, well, that's just a few of them. Well, sweetheart, I wonder if they came and commandeered your house and raped you and your children and killed your husband. I think it'd be important to you, wouldn't it be? But I could sit back and go, well, that's just one house. It's not that big a deal. But
it's not that big a deal unless it's your house.
Crime never bothers you until it's personal, right? Until your mother's raped, or your daughter is taken away and kidnapped, or your husband's running off the road and killed or mugged. Then it becomes, holy cow, how come crime's so bad? Well, crime's so bad because you've been voting in these scumbags that keep allowing criminals to leave the jails. Do we need prison reform? Yeah, I'm sure we do. But do I need to let out felons on the street early? No. The answer is no. No, it's not. There's so much moral rot in America right now. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway of going on this documentary, 24 years in the Border Patrol, writing a book, doing these documentaries. I am saying without hesitation that America is beyond the crossroads of morality, and we live in a moral cesspool. America is, and I believe America is in decline. Absolute decline.
Before Mike asks you another question, because I'm seeing a bunch going through the online chat, and of course we're pulling comments in from 2 YouTube channels. Our big ones got 400,000 subs, Rumble, LinkedIn, Facebook, and X, and they all get aggregated into our interface here in StreamYard. And I want to ask you more specifics with regards to the federal government after Mike poses the next question. But here's a really quick question for you. I cannot square the decisions that our government has been making since this administration was installed, other than concluding that our government is under enemy control. What government consistently makes decisions against their own citizens, but in favor of everybody else? It makes no sense. I mean, they have to be under enemy control. Otherwise, why are they doing this?
If you take off your glasses of American patriotism, mom, apple pie, and baseball, and you put on, I hate America. America is a racist colonial nation. Everything that they do makes sense. Listen, you and I don't have to come up with their words or their actions. All we have to do is just listen to them. Listen to what Barack Obama said. I'm going to fundamentally transform America. Listen to what Joe Biden said as vice president. We are going to have unrelenting waves of immigrants come into America to make the Anglo-Saxon a minority in its own country, and quote, that is a good thing. Chuck Schumer, we need to legalize 11 million or how many ever there are, because we need those people to make America work and be great. This is not my words. These are their words. Yeah. So when you understand that, and you understand that prior to Joe Biden taking office, that they made a strategic decision to utilize the open borders and illegal immigration to fundamentally transform America. They did it. How do I know that? Day one, they signed 94 executive orders obliterating President Trump's secure border. How do I know that? I was sitting at my desk and I watched all of the executive orders and all the directives cascade down. from Washington, D.C. down to San Diego sector and into my office and ordered me to do unconstitutional orders. I was there. I watched it. So you're absolutely correct. But our government is run by people that hate America, that hate America.
Agreed. Mike?
Yeah, so normally, up until the last about 18 months or so, I normally lived by Hanlon's razor. If you're familiar with that, Hanlon's razor states that never attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by stupidity. These days, unfortunately, it's flipped on its head at this point. Now we're looking at this, and the only explanation is malice at this point, and that is a terrible, terrible thing.
Well, that's one of the reasons I wrote my book, and it's one of the reasons I just prayed to God to be able to meet someone that would allow me to pair up my talent and my skills with their talent or their skills to create a documentary to tell America exactly what I believe. And I believe this is not bad policy. It's not stupidity. This is malicious, intentionally strategic. There is no way that anybody could make, or any group of people could make, this many bad decisions consistently. The laws of probability say that at least you'll do something right. But I know, because I'm not a talking head, I am inside. I was inside the beast. I know the Immigration Nationality Act, frontwards to back. I know policy. I know law. And I'm telling you that our federal government under Mayorkas has done everything against the law. So you cannot do that if you are a halfway decent person. You only could do that if you do it with malicious intent to harm America. Thus, I say they are all traitors. They should be arrested, tried, and if they found guilty, they meet their maker through death, because that's the punishment of treason. And I don't think, look, I want justice, and I know what I want I'll never get. I'll never get. I trust Donald Trump. I like Donald Trump. I think he's the person that we need to have in. But if Donald Trump wants to be a true great leader, he's going to have to do some things that are extremely uncomfortable. He is going to have to arrest hundreds, if not thousands, of traitors in America and try them and then put them to death. History is going to look back on him as a hero of the Americans, while present day crucifies him as a Hitler and everything else. There is no other point of justice that I want than them to be arrested and tried. If they're found not guilty, fine, go on your way. You are afforded the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. If you are found guilty, which they are, then I want them to hang, and I want them to hang in public. Don't tell me I'm supposed to forgive them. Don't tell me that I have to somehow find it better in my heart to be, quote, a better Christian. In fact, I think that makes you a worse Christian. God does not want you to be a coward. He does not want you to bend a knee and be prostrate to evil. He wants you to eradicate evil from his earth. And he has given certain men a certain will and a certain disposition to be able to do that. And Donald Trump has to surround himself with those men, because if he doesn't, we're going to do this ring around the rosy bull crap and kick the can down the road. And in 4 more years, we'll have some other impotent, cowardly rhino Republican running our government, and we're going to be right back where we were and worse off.
JJ, we've had a number of comments. I mean, they in the chat, from our website to our support email, making comments along the lines that Survival Dispatch News, all of us, but primarily me, need to ratchet it down so that we can have unity and come together. And I'm going to tell you straight up, there will be no reconciliation. We are past the point of reconciling. I am never going to reconcile with somebody who thinks it's okay to tell a child to cut their genitals off. Not going to happen. Will never happen. And like you, we're very hopeful that Donald Trump gets back in power. But if he does, Todd Callender and I are actually working on a list of laws that we feel need to be enacted. So it's a good example. If you were to counsel a youngin to cut off their genitals, you're going to jail. If you actually cut that youngin's genitals off, you're going to jail for the rest of your life. Those are the kinds of laws we need. And it hurts me as a lowercase L libertarian. I believe government should stay out of everything, but we will lose our country if we do not have a massive paradigm shift to eradicate all of this crazy stuff. I mean,
you know what I'd say to people say that you need to ratchet down, JJ, or you need to meet people in halfway. My first reaction is go to hell. Go to hell.
Bingo.
And in fact, you know what? There's a battlefield, there's a war going on, and you're muddying up the battlefield, meaning I can't see my enemy because you're in my way. So you need to either get out of the way or we're going to mow you down. It's simple as that. I find you to be a coward. I find you to be a traitor, and I find you to be everything I despise. You are milquetoast. You are what God said. I spit you out of my mouth because you're just lukewarm. You want to everything to be kumbaya. Listen, where do I meet these people? They want to kill the baby outside the vaginal canal. So as a Christian, I'm supposed to do it at 4.5 months. You can kill them at 4.5 months. I'm allowed you want Planned Parenthood to rip the body parts of the child away and then sell their organs. I'm supposed to be okay with that? They're supposed to rip off their genitals. I'm allowing gay men that have some perversion in their head to dress up as men and then teach my kid in school. I'm supposed to let that okay? Where do I meet you on the border? Halfway? Am I supposed to not give $5 trillion to the Middle East and wars and just give them $2.5 trillion as my country just dies of inflation? So when you tell me to ratchet it down, I tell you, either get me off your show, turn me off, or just let me go on my way, because I don't have time for you. I don't. I've had it. I've had to have conversations with my young son that my father would never have had to have with me. I've had to do things in a darkened night in the United States Border Patrol that you impotent cowards that are telling me to ratchet it down, you would get on your knees and thank me. Thank you, JJ, and men like me, that I took those savages off the earth and put them in jail, because guess what? When they came into America, they weren't coming into my house because they know I'd kill them. They're going to come to your house to rape your wife and your children and then kill you because you're a gutless bastard. And I'm sorry if I sound this way. I just have no quarter for anybody anymore. I don't, if you are so willfully ignorant and so cowardly bastard, I have no time for you. And I know what? I'm not saying that I am anywhere near my founding fathers at all, intellectually, spiritually, and the courage they have, none. But I absolutely know that those men talked just like I'm talking right now. I know they did. I've read what they've written. I understand. George Washington, you take those cowards that deserted his army, guess what he did? He brought them back, he tried them, and he killed them on the spot. That great man. That's who I want to model myself after. That man, my brother, and my father, who are great men. Not these impotent coward beta males. You can all die on your knees. I will never, ever bend a knee for any of you stupid, disgusting people. Never.
So number one, very well said, JJ. Honestly, could not agree with you more. Number two, Mike, I have a question for you before you ask the next question of JJ. Tell me that JJ is not one of our very best guests, because all you have to do is you just got to turn that thing in his back, wind him up, let him go, and the show.
Wind him up, point him in the right direction, let him go. Oh yeah. Hey, I'll tell you what. Yeah, I mean, why are you and I even here? You know,
to wind him up.
Okay, we're gonna ask the first question, and then I'm gonna go get a drink of beer, and then I'll be back at the very end. You just go ahead and just monologue your heart out, man. You're doing the thing.
But do you guys feel that? I have to ask this because you two guys are alpha males, so I have to ask you: do you feel this pressure? To that we have to do something, or we're all going to face catastrophe? Do you feel that?
Absolutely. Yep. And not to mention that, I mean, I don't know about you, man. I took an oath to the Constitution to protect the Constitution and the people of the United States. And I was never relieved from that oath. Just like you. And man, it weighs heavy on my heart every single day.
It does. And I feel even, I'm an older father. Okay. So I met my wife. My first wife passed away from brain tumor very, very young. And I met my wife. My wife and I met much later in life, and we adopted my son. And he is the greatest You want to talk about how horrible abortion is? Look at my son, because that is the example of the beauty of life, just the beauty of life, that his birth mother took the time and said, no, I'm going to give birth and I'm going to kill me to give him away, but I'm going to give him a great life. And that's my son. So when I'm speaking to you, I'm thinking in my brain, do I want my son to have to go to war and battle his government? Or do I want to turn over a world where he can thrive and get married and have children, and their children can go and not worried about getting kidnapped or getting their father put in jail because he memed the wrong meme on Facebook? So I want to take it. I want to be the guy on the battlefield, not my son. And how can any self-respecting father not feel that way? I don't want my children to battle these battles. In fact, why would I want my son to have to fight the battles that I caused, that my generation caused, because we were impotent, we were cowardly, we bent a knee to mental patients. We have men in dresses. We have people telling us that men can have babies, that we can rip the genitals off our children. And know what we all did? Oh yeah, that's true. Yes. Please don't counsel me. Please don't make me go to DEI training again with the HR, instead of standing up and going, no, this violates everything that I believe in. I think you should go to jail, or at the very least be put in a psych ward for the rest of your life until you can get your brain corrected. But no, we didn't do that. We said, we'll conform to your insanity. That is insanity.
So I'm a recent convert for DEI, JJ. I've fully embraced it now.
I saw that.
I just
really
need to be educated. I did not know that it stood for deport every illegal. When I was told that's what it stands for, I decided to change teams. I'm behind
DEI. Can you believe our country, the country that was founded on, you get to keep everything that you create intellectually, physically, and if you're great, you're going to rise up to, hey, your color and your sexual orientation gets you a job. Are you insane? Do you think I care if I go in and have cancer surgery if my doctor is black, brown, Asian, or white? I just want to know, are you competent? Do you know what the hell you're doing? And then you bring in, well, JJ, we're bringing in this white guy because white people, that's just what the quote is. I would be like, sew me back up. I will wait for the black guy that comes in. That's the best doctor. Ben Carson? You're going to bring Ben Carson? Okay, sew me up. I'll roll the dice. I'm waiting for Ben Carson. This is insanity. In America, here's a dirty secret. Americans don't care about race. They don't. 60% of the Border Patrol are other than white. I was a minority in my own organization. Do you think I care? I just knew that my guy, that his name was Martin Del Campo, who's a very good friend of mine, Mexican American. He would have my back. He was going to die for me, and I was going to die for him. Same thing with my Russian guy, my Ukrainian, my white guy. Who gives a crap? I was in the trenches with guys that we had our back. Nobody cares about race in America. Are there racists? Of course, because we live in a fallen world. But to say that America in general is racist, you're insane. Because I'll prove a point. Over 180 nations on planet Earth are in the arrest data of the United States Border Patrol. How does 180 nations that are mainly non-white are coming into America, to the most racist country in the world? That on its face is laughable. You leftist anti-Americans are disgusting. And we American men, specifically the men, have to yell at them and say to them right to their face, you're insane. You're stupid. And you are, and I'm going to say boldly, you're anti-American, and you better watch your step. Because if you step into my world, I'm going to crush you. And until we start talking like that, we're just going to be a group of beta males that get run over by mental patients, period.
I could not agree more with you, JJ. It's just, like I said, I get flooded with comments that I cuss too much.
Oh, yeah. Bad words, right? Bad.
No.
Yeah. And the bad tweets from the Orange Man, right?
And don't forget, you let Mike on the show with beer.
Oh my God. I know.
Actually, It is Tuesday night, isn't it? There was a thing a while ago. We had this Tuesday night drinking with Mike on Survival Dispatch News. So moving into the next question, JJ, I kind of mentioned it, but I didn't get right into it. Describe to us what the federal government's role is in child sex trafficking. I know it's not good, but I want to hear it from somebody who has frontline experience with this.
Everyone that I interviewed, former CIA operatives, whistleblowers inside HHS, ORR, DHS, UCS, USCIS, to the people that actually worked inside the child detention facilities and transported the children, all freely admitted that the United States federal government is the world's largest child sex trafficking organization without hesitation. Let me give you a data point so you know what I'm talking about.
How can you square that? How can you square that? Sorry to interrupt, but how can you square that other than concluding that our federal government is under the direct control of our enemies?
You can't. You can't, because once you understand that the NGOs are trafficking the children and NGOs are international organizations run by evil people that hate America, then you begin to understand, at least on a sophomoric level, of what's going on. Let me give you a data point to just show that the federal government knows what's happening. Under Donald Trump, we arrested 10 to 15,000 UACs, unaccompanied alien children. Is strictly regulated, highly regulated and policy driven. You had DNA testing, sponsors were background checked, people living in the house with the sponsors were background checked, follow-up check with the children, all disappeared under President Biden, all of it. We went from 10,000 people arrested in a total year to over 120,000 the first year. 120,000. HHS and ORR, run by Javier Becerra and Miss Marcos, went in front of Congress and admitted, yeah, we've lost 85,000 of them. They didn't do anything to stop it. In fact, they facilitated and made it more effective. So the next year they did 130,000. And then the next year they did 140,000. And this year we're on pace to do 150,000. They came back 3 weeks ago and said, yeah, that 85,000 number, I apologize, it's wrong. I'm from the Inspector General of the DHS, and we have lost over 320,000 of them. 320,000. They are 6 months away from saying they have already lost over 400,000. They're just normalizing us. So you ask me, how is the federal government? The federal government created this. They created it. Let me give you another point. We had in our documentary a guy named Aaron Stevenson. He is a former intel analyst with the Army, like brilliant guy. And his job at the United States Citizenship and Immigration Service was to look at the systems and start breaking them down and see if there's any loopholes. Well, he found a loophole, which is a very important loophole, that he found transnational criminal organizations across the globe, unbeknownst to each other, had all found the same loophole to be able to traffic children into America, use American tax dollars and NGOs to traffic the children back to the NGOs in America. He blew the whistle on it. And what did he get? Did he get a promotion? No, he got fired. And as he tells me in the interview, as I'm getting walked out, JJ, my only two questions are, don't you want to know how I found out that this is happening? And also, how are they doing it? And they said, no, we just want you to leave. And his colleagues tell him today that none of those loopholes have been changed or stopped. In fact, it's just continuing on.
Yeah, they don't want it because they're complicit.
Because as many people have told me, congressmen, senators, and presidents are pedophiles. Plural, pedophiles. So not all our politicians are pedophiles, but enough of them are that the other ones that aren't know who the pedophiles are, and they don't say anything, so they become complicit in the crime, and therefore they can be blackmailed and coerced to do things. Why? You just said it, Chris. Why is our federal government doing everything that is hurtful to America? Why? Because somebody has pictures or videos of them doing very, very bad things to children. Or they know of those pictures and have said nothing. So now you're going to bend a knee. Let's just use one guy for an example. The current sitting Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson told us he's going to shut the border down. He's going to impeach Mayorkas. He's going to impeach Joe Biden. He's not going to do any more continuing resolutions. No more giving money to Ukraine. No more anything. What does he do the first CR? He brings a bill to the floor that Nancy Pelosi would not even dare bring in. And guess who signs it? The Democrats. So you're telling me Mr. Johnson's not compromised? Are you really? What about the great Jim Jordan? Name me one thing Jim Jordan has done. One thing. Can't. You can't. He can go on Sean Hannity and
News clips.
bloviate. Yes, news clips. He's in charge of impeaching Biden, and everyone knows that Biden is guilty. His family has 227 LLCs to funnel money. And this man has actually come on TV and says we have all the evidence we need to convict him, and yet you don't convict him. You don't even put him on trial. Why, Jim Jordan? Because I would tell you, Jim Jordan, that I know that you're compromised. I don't know what you're compromised. Your actions tell me you're compromised. If J.J. Carrell was in the Senate or the House and I knew what I know, I would be on that Senate floor every effing day, pounding that gavel and bringing one bill after another until you either killed me or got me voted out. I would not be playing this stupid game you gutless bastards that run our country do. We are run by a tyrannical government, and our founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, said you have a moral duty. He didn't say you need to think about it and have robust discussions with your friends. He said you have a moral duty to overthrow that federal government, that tyrannical government. Mm-hmm. You're telling me our founding fathers wouldn't already be at war right now?
They'd be stacking bodies in musket smoke right now.
Yes, they would. Yes, they would. And I'm telling you that we will, if Donald Trump does not win, they will put their crosshairs on men like us, and they will try to everything in their power to destroy us.
DOD Directive 5240.01.
Yep.
Updated very quietly September 27th. Story was broke last week. It's very, very vague and open-ended language, right? So normally the president can't deploy our military against Americans on American soil. Then, of course, you've got the Posse Comitatus, and you've got the Insurrection Act and blah, blah, blah. But
yep,
that the difference with that DOD directive is that if any law enforcement agency in the country, regardless of what level they're at, requests mutual aid from the military are allowed to use lethal force against Americans on American soil. That's how open-ended it is. You could have a county mountie call up and say, hey, we need backup. We need y'all to send in the troops to Volusia County, Florida here. And at that point in time, when you have a fake insurrection like January 6th, man, well, we'll have to take them all out, right? And I've got a couple more questions, but you got me on this rabbit hole. I'm just going to say this really, really quickly. I believe they're going to continue to try and assassinate Donald Trump because in their world, if they can get rid of him before the election, that's best case scenario.
Yeah.
However, if they can't get rid of him, there's a tremendous possibility for a black swan event or terrorist attacks to happen on November the 5th and completely disrupt our elections, result in the election being suspended, potentially even martial law, which our good buddy Jeff MD likes to point out. Those words don't exist in the Constitution anywhere. But I think we're at the point where the election has become too big to rig, and they would have to have in excess of 100% voter turnout in many precincts. Correct. To overcome how many votes Donald Trump is going to get. So that leads me to believe that after the election, they will do everything in their power to incarcerate Donald Trump. And if they manage to incarcerate him, they'll try to Epstein him. And if they can't Epstein him, they'll use the 14th Amendment, even though he's never been charged with insurrection, let alone convicted, to basically disqualify him vis-a-vis the 14th Amendment. And if all of that fails, they will not certify the election on January the 6th. And Jamie Raskin already said, when January 6th rolls around and we say, look, we're not going to certify this election, at that point in time, he said this, we will need the military to protect us in a civil war environment because the crazy Trump voters will not accept the fact that we've disqualified him. So they've told us what they're going to do.
You need to listen to what your enemy says.
They will tell you who they are.
Yes, they are. Yes, they do. And why? Because they're arrogant and they want you to know, because it's not enough to have control over us. They need you to know that they have control over us. And I agree with you. Everyone keeps worried about the election. It's not when the election happens. It's after the election. When Donald Trump wins, are you going to tell me he's not going to have his life attempted again? It's gonna be 4 years of it for eternity. They're gonna do it, unless Donald Trump comes out with both guns blazing, his attorney general start issuing arrest warrants like nobody's business. That's the only way. That's why the left is so afraid, because they feel they have painted him into a corner. And if he does not come out fighting them, that he knows that they will kill him or kill his family. And maybe that's what the next thing is. Maybe they go kill his family. Because what do you do to a man that you can't kill? What's the worst thing you could do to a man is you could kill his family, knowing that man has to live with the fact that he allowed someone to harm his family. It will eat his soul.
The very first rally where they put up the bulletproof glass, his grandson came on stage with him. And when he asked him the question, the young lad said, "Vote for Grandpa." And when he set him down, he walked off the stage, and there was probably 10, 12 feet from the end of the bulletproof glass to the steps to, get down from the podium. And I said at the time, I said, that's an easy target. If they can't kill Donald Trump, they will kill his children or grandchildren. And I can't believe that they just exposed that child by doing that, having him come on stage and then off stage and not being protected behind the bulletproof glass or anybody around him.
Because the world that doesn't live in the security world doesn't think like that.
I agree with that.
If you never lived in the two-way shooting range, you don't think that way. You just don't.
And I think and I think Americans too have these blinders on, that America is this land of kindness, and we're not a third world country where we kill people. Oh, God dang it, we are. Are you kidding me? Murders at all-time high. Rapes are skyrocketing. We've allowed people into our country that are murdering and raping our family, and we do nothing. The president just got shot. If he doesn't turn his head, we watch on live TV his head explode. And you think that this has not happened, and you think our government's not involved in it? Come on, people. Can we all get in the ball game of life, please?
Well, and let's not forget that he's got a ton of folks over at that have special interests outside of the human smuggling side. CIA is very threatened by him.
Yep.
Well, actually, the entire intelligence world is threatened by him, because he's getting ready to blow the lid off of all. He's going to let a bunch of the secrets out, and when he lets those secrets out, the country is going to go ape shit.
I don't think you do a piecemeal. I think you put everything out all at once. The Epstein files, the Pity files, the 9/11 Commission, how Building 7 fell by itself, like a ferry landed on it and it exploded.
The Kennedy
assassination, everything. And then you push out who killed me, who paid that stupid guy to shoot me, and then who paid Mayorkas to have no Secret Service there for me. I want them all. I want it all exposed, all of it. I want to see the 20,000 DVDs on Jeffrey Epstein has, and I want to see every one of them, every effing second of it. I want to know every politician that raped a child, and I want that person put in the Supermax and then put to death. Period.
And I don't disagree. A couple quick things as I'm jotting stuff down here. Number one, we recorded an episode of SDN earlier today that'll air tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern on the updates to the crime numbers that the FBI just tried to publish very quietly. While that ass hat on, was it? I can't remember which it was. Maybe CBS that fact checked Donald Trump in the debate with Kamala. That no. The FBI says that violent crime is going down, and of course it's the exact opposite. Another thing just to throw out there. Well, actually, let me back up for a second. One of the topics we discussed in that video, JJ, is how can so many of our fellow countrymen not see through the bullshit when it's so freaking obvious? And let me give you a great example. So Donald Trump, they take him off of live TV years ago because they can't control what he might say. And so they stopped putting him up, his stuff on live. But all of a sudden, all these years later, on July 13th, all the networks show up so they can broadcast live from Butler, PA. I mean, they wanted us to see exactly what you just described.
Absolutely, they did, and no one will talk about it. No one will ask CNN executive and MSNBC, why is that the first Trump rally you broadcast live? I don't believe in coincidence. I don't think that they don't exist. It doesn't, in my world, it's just a dot that needs to be connected. It has not been connected yet, but I know that I'm going to connect it. That's it. Those things don't happen in a vacuum by themselves. They don't.
Right. Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah, I will say that we published a video last night, JJ, with Jeff O'Donnell. Jeff O'Donnell works with Dennis Montgomery. Dennis Montgomery is the CIA contractor who wrote Hammer and Scorecard, which the CIA used for years to steal elections around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then they used it against us in 2020, for this shit show. But one of the things that we aired last night in that episode, JJ, were the posts to Twitter that Donald Trump made, one early in the morning and one later on. And the first one said, you should be upset. We're upset too. This has been, a travesty. So go, protest, but keep it peaceful. And then the second one, which is really famous, the one that Jack Dorsey pulled down in minutes, saying we need peace, go home.
Mm-hmm.
And they took that off of social media almost instantly. Well, about 20 minutes after that live broadcast last night, JJ, on both of our YouTube channels, they pulled the video down, sent me a thing saying that it was blocked from being played in any jurisdiction. So the whole premise of that video was big tech and big media censoring the good guys. So we put a video out on the censorship, and guess what happened? We got
censored. But we're allowing, we have the House right now, and they've continually vote for the social media. Why?
Done nothing.
What do you have? What have they captured on you? But look, these are the geeks of the 80s and 90s. These are the geeks, the guys that could never get a girlfriend, that lived in a basement doing Dungeons and Dragons, created social media.
Whoa, come on now.
Well, Dungeons and Dragons is maybe a good thing to do. Yeah, okay.
I was feeling attacked.
But they're running the world now.
Yeah,
they're running the world, and we're sitting here allowing them to do it. I honestly think that almost all of our institutions have to be brought down to their knees and then make a very hard decision. Do we rebuild that one? Do we just keep that one to ashes? What do we do? FBI should go away.
100%.
Go away.
100%.
Sent back to the states. You guys have all Bureau of Investigations. You run it. We can have a national clearinghouse or some sort like that. But I believe strongly that the centralization of power in federal government has to be destroyed, and it needs to be scattered to all corners of America, meaning Department of Education / gone. Nobody does that again. Department of Energy, if we're going to keep energy, for example, it goes to Des Moines, Iowa. The remnants of the FBI is going to go to New Orleans, Louisiana. They're just scattered, so they cannot even think of having a centralized power. But now Washington dominates our lives. Our states have abdicated all their rights, and we live in a tyrannical government. We are literally living under the oppression of a man that has dementia, a woman that does not even have 2 brain cells to click together, that slept her way to the top. And then we're run by congressmen that are gutless, and congresswomen like AOC and the squad. Those anti-American bubbleheads have a direct impact on my life, and I can't stand it.
So JJ, I've got a couple more questions for you, and then I know you're busy. So after you leave the podcast, I'll go back and do all the stuff that we normally do at the beginning. Sure. I don't want to tie you up any extra time and stuff like that. So Mike, if you've got any questions, tee them up right now as well, because we'll ask JJ a couple more questions. And thank you very much for your time as usual, JJ. But here's my next one. It's not a really big question, but I'm just curious. When you and Ryan were traveling and shooting all of this footage, did you ever get into a situation where you felt like you needed to call law enforcement, or somebody called law enforcement on you? And if so, what was the interaction like with law enforcement?
No, I never had. Well, we got the law enforcement brought into us in Chicago, and I talked to them and said, "Hey, this is who I am." And they look sheepish, like they almost look defeated. They're like, I even said to him, I cut him off and said, I know you don't want to be here. I promise I'm not going to do anything to cause you to have to act a certain way. This is who I am. This is where I came from. I understand we're going to pull back. I know you don't want to be here. I know you don't want to do this. And they're like, yeah, I really don't, man. This is atrocity. What's happening? Please. And I'm like, I hear you. The only time I felt unsafe, well, New York City is unsafe. It's just unsafe.
The whole damn place.
The whole damn place. I felt like my head was on a swivel nonstop because it is it's disgusting. And there's illegal aliens everywhere.
I was there earlier this year, and yeah, ask Chris. I was freaking out the entire time.
Yeah. I don't trust anyone. People walking up on you. No one speaks English. I know what an illegal alien looks like, sounds like, smells like, and they're everywhere. They don't care. But the only place, let me tell you, the strangest place that I felt the most threatened, and it made me the most angry, is I was on a section of the border in San Diego where I spilled blood, and I spilled other men's blood to keep that border safe and secure. And I walked on the north side of that border wall, and I was the odd man out. There was 150 illegal alien men from India, the continent of Africa, and the Middle East, and they looked at me with such disdain and such, what are you doing here? This is our land. Get out. And I never forget, I was on edge, and I kept telling myself, get ready to go. Like, it's about go time. It's exactly how I used to feel when I worked. But when I left that Border Patrol, I owned that. That was American soil. And I'm telling you that we lost it. And that is the most uncomfortable that I felt, the most unsafe. Even New York City didn't compare to what I felt at that moment. And Ryan Maddock caught it on camera, and he saw it in my face. And I said, I can't believe this has happened to my country, to where I had an agent prior to me coming to the Border Patrol, lost the eye because he got shot in the eye in that place. I got in the fights where I pulled guns, and I was going to have to shoot people there and beating them up, bloodying their faces. I got my face bloodied. I have agents that got terrorized in that area. Why? All that pain and suffering to have those traitors, bastards, Republicans and Democrats, to turn back everything we fought for to people that hate our country. And I couldn't even walk where I bled to make that our country. So I think about it, I just get irate.
As you should. Mike, I have one more question, then I'll turn over to you. And my next question is, whether you were on duty or filming this documentary, did you physically cross paths with these NGOs? And if so, how did that go? I'm curious if they gave you some bullshit reasons on why they were helping, et cetera, et cetera.
The biggest problems that I had with the NGOs were the security guards they employed. So the security guards were making exorbitant amounts of money, 24 hours a day. So the federal government was spending probably millions of dollars a year per hotel contracted out to these people. The NGOs hate us because the NGOs, the good majority of them are criminals. As I talk to the investigative journalists, I say to them, hey, listen, I know I'm going to just ask you, but I know the answer. How many of these people driving the buses, the vans that are working inside these places are criminals? They said, all of them, dude. All of them, because they're all committing crimes. They're all committing crimes. So who do you have? Do you hire someone like me that's going to go, wait a minute, I can't do this. This is against the law. Or you're going to hire criminals, pay them $20, $30 an hour to do criminal acts. Well, we'll do the criminal acts. So the biggest problem that I had with the NGOs, besides the absurdity of the people that work there, were the guards guarding. And can I ask you something? Why do we have guards guarding hotels and FEMA camps across America?
Right.
What's going on here?
Yeah.
No one even asked what's going on. And I'm going to tell you, and the other NGOs is all the security guards. When I went to the child detention facilities, if I stepped one toe on a parking lot, they were out there. What are you doing? You can't be here. And I'm like, what are you guarding? You're guarding a bunch of kids? What do you think? I'm going to come in here and do something? No, you're raping the kids in there. I know you are. And sure enough, the DOJ has come out and said, yep, they're raping the children inside of the detention facilities. Oh, isn't that shocking? We live in a very dark time in America, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah, and the Department of Justice isn't. They're not doing their job.
Nope. So you know how bad it has to be inside child detention facilities? Do you know how many rapes have to be happen for the DOJ to get involved? Can you imagine the numerous rapes and sexual assaults that are happening in child detention camps by the hands of American citizens that our corrupt DOJ is getting involved? It has to be astronomical.
Yeah, it's got to be
Astronomical.
it's got to be at Afghan levels.
Yeah. Yeah. It has to be. And I know it is. And you know it is.
So when you mentioned the gentleman who, you know, lost an eye, that's, I've got a prosthetic eye on the left side here. It's a long story. I'm not going to tell the story.
Thank God.
But this is my Captain America prosthetic eye.
That's great.
So whatever's in that star, I have no idea what it is. It catches light from every direction, and it's pretty crazy looking. If I got sunglasses on, a waitress comes up and says, "Can I get y'all something?" I order a tea. I drop my glasses. They're like, "Oh, what the hell is that?" So anyway.
Yeah.
Mike, if you got any questions before we let JJ go, and then you and I, Mike, we'll go through the regular boilerplate stuff.
I'm not gonna lie, JJ. You just, man, you blew it out of the water. I haven't been able to even think about getting ahead of you to ask a question. So, no, man, let that man cook. You're like the first person we've had on here that I just am like, no, the man said it.
Well, I appreciate you guys giving me the time to discuss the documentary and give me the ample time to say what I believe. You guys have been great hosts, so I appreciate that. I just feel a pressure that America is in a very bad moment, and if nothing is done, that we are all going to look back and we're going to be so angry at ourselves for being silent.
So I think before you leave, I do want to show this. Sorry, Mike, but this is treason.com. And this is where all y'all in the audience need to go. And you can sign up here, watch both of their movies. When's Invaded released? Is it tomorrow or the next day?
On Thursday, the 24th, it's released. And we also, and I'm proud to say this, is that we just signed a partnership deal, distribution deal with Salem Now. The very large platform that does Christian and conservative material. They are now distributing our DVDs and streaming service as well as off of our own platform as thisistreason.com.
And I want to say a lot of times, you know, our audience will say, "What can I do? How can I make an improvement here?" And I'm very adamant that when we end episodes of Survival Dispatch News, we provide actionable steps for our audience so that we're not just a bunch of talking heads. We're actually giving people things that they can do. And so before you go, I do have a list of things people can do, but I want you to hear this part because I want our audience to understand that if you pay a small amount of money to watch JJ's and Ryan's content, it means that the truth is getting spread. And the more it spreads, the more likely it is that we can save the Republic. But if people aren't aware of this stuff, they don't know what they don't know. So if you want an action item, go pay the few dollars to watch JJ's movies, get educated, because I'm telling you, pay attention, strap in, because it's a nonstop ride. It's a roller coaster that only goes down.
It is.
You know, and that's a great action item for all y'all in the audience. I think that's it from my end, Mike, other than we'll stick around after JJ leaves.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I do want to say, JJ, is you know, we're talking about this weight of a need of all this problem laying on us. I just got back from sorry. I just got back from hurricane response up in the mountains, and I'm here to tell you, I didn't meet a single solitary person up there that was already angry as hell about what's going on in our country, in addition to, and then they were like, oh yeah, and we had this hurricane and our entire lives are uprooted and stuff. But you know what? I don't care about that. My country's all screwed up.
Yeah.
Like every single one of them.
Well, and they should. Look what our federal government did. They spent all their money through FEMA to the NGOs and to illegal aliens and had no money for American citizens.
Right.
They're never going to rectify that up there because they want the land. They're evil. Our government is the enemy.
But we're back to the only way to square the government's 100% consistent decisions to put Americans last. The only way to square it is our government is under direct enemy control. And
I agree.
So, JJ,
unfortunately,
good luck with the launch. I hope
Thank you.
people come and watch it and see it. I will harass you by text as usual because, of course, we'll want you back. I mean,
please have me back whenever you want. At least I can get some steam blown off and feel a little better going into the night.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Love it when you bring it. But all right, JJ, thank you very much.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Good work, man. Keep up the good work.
All right, guys. You too. Thank you. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Likewise. All right. So I'm going to scroll back up to the top of the brief and run through some of this stuff as fast as I can.
Hey,
Mike.
You know what we didn't do?
I got it. It's coming up. That's why I said I couldn't derail JJ.
No, you're not going to get in front of that guy.
Well, no, it's just that I could have said, hold on, time out. We have to be a slave to our schedule.
No, let that man cook.
Correct.
Let that man cook.
So let me see here. Let me go back to my notes from earlier this morning or earlier this evening. Pardon me. I'm losing track of my days, evenings, nights, everything.
God, I don't even know what day it is.
This is episode 286 of Survival Dispatch News, and Mike was one of the first people to join me on SDN. So we're starting to accumulate a pretty good number of episodes behind us, Mike.
Is it that far back?
Yep, 286. Tomorrow will be number 287.
Yeah.
Do you have the brief pulled up with the conflicted question?
I'm pulling it up right now.
You're up.
I gotta get it into there.
Then what I'll do is I'll fill in some of the other stuff that I want to share with the audience, and then we'll wrap up by answering it.
Yarp. Extra points for anybody in the audience. They got that. Okay. Yeah, I got it finally. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm all screwed up, boss.
No worries. Appreciate it.
I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. All right. Shall I do the question?
Let her rip.
Okay. Conflicted question of the day. We're just doing it weirdly at the very end. I know, kind of strange. So here's how this goes. If you haven't joined us out there in the audience for this, I'm going to go ahead and ask the question. These are morality tests. We want to hear your comments in the comments section. All right. Answer the questions. I'm going to read it. Then we'll talk about it. All right. Conflicted question of the day. You didn't listen and didn't prepare. Wow. Think about all those. You didn't listen and didn't prepare. All hell broke loose and you don't have enough ammo, food, or water. There is chaos in the streets and open looting is going on. No one who you turn to as far as friends and family could take you and your family in. Would you become a criminal to provide for your family and join the looters or not? If the answer is no, how would you survive? Stick in the confines of the box. Come on now, this is a morality thing, Chris.
Yep. So I'm going to go through a couple updates, and then you and I will answer it at the very end of this. So I wanted to mention that this evening's. Did I mention Black Force supplements already tonight? Or not?
No, dude.
Okay.
We skipped over everything.
Well, so this is a great product, but apparently it doesn't help with my sometimers. So this video is brought to us, to y'all, by Black Force Supplements. I started training in 1982. This is the only over-the-counter supplement I've ever taken where I've noticed something tangible improvement for me. Much higher energy level. I've been taking it for about 7 months. S2's been taking it for about 7 months. He's noticed additional energy and less brain fog. Now, they advertise this as an anti-aging product, and I'm not a doctor. I can't comment on that. But what I can say is apparently it's so effective at that the FDA is trying to shut down Black Force and other supplement companies at the request of Big Pharma, and they want to turn this into a prescription-only product. So that speaks volumes about it. There's a link down below. Buy two, get one free if you use the link down below. Goldco also sponsored tonight's video. They've got this wealth protection kit. It's a free download. Link is down below as well. even if you don't have a 401k, IRAs, you're not interested in, saving money or finances, all that good stuff. Their guide has a lot of information on how to prepare for a calamity. And I think it's pretty safe at this point in time, Mike, right, to say that there's trouble on the horizon. So if you download that guide from Goldco, it'll give you some advice as far as protecting yourself as best as possible. Tomorrow evening's episode, as I mentioned earlier, is an update on violent crime. However, insiders can go watch it on Patreon tonight. I've already uploaded it for our members over there, so you have early access to it. Speaking of Patreon, patreon.com/survival dispatch. You can sign up for a free membership or $9.99 a month. At $9.99 a month, you get behind the scenes content, early access to content. About half the time we do the live after live, we go over there and join a real-time chat. You get our 228-page essentials guide. Lots of good stuff over there. Again, if you don't want to pay, there's still goodness in the free membership. And oh, by the way, so we started up an encrypted channel on Signal just a couple days ago. I think we're getting close to about 36 members already. The reason we did that is if the shit hits the fan and we still have access to data networks, that's where we're going to be sharing intel. So if you're an insider, download Signal, put it on your phone or other device, send an email to support@survivaldispatch.com with your phone number. That'll come to me. I will go to Signal and give you an invite to that group. And I see some pretty complex conversations going on there with
it gets spicy in there. That's a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, with stuff that's going on. So that's that. Mike, I think that brings us down to, please mash the like button before you all leave. We would appreciate it.
I've been beating on that like, share, and subscribe. Come on. We need to hear it. We've got a total of 124 like buttons on YouTube. Really? Come on, kids.
When you see me looking over here, it's because I have all these web browsers open of everything. So we peaked around 900 simultaneous people tonight. Our record was last Thursday, by the way, was 1,200. So out of 900 people, half a dozen different channels. I don't know what the likes are just yet, but here's the thing is we are heavily suppressed. Look at what happened last night where we barely got any views on a really good video that then in turn got taken down because we exposed the truth. And here's the thing, that video got taken off of YouTube, is available on X. It's available on our Rumble channel. Go on over there and watch it if you want to see the truth, hear the truth, I should say. But let me see. Other than that, when you like, share, comment, subscribe, it does help us with the algorithm a little bit. That's all I got. Mike, give us the conflicted question one more time. We'll answer it right now. We'll put a wrap on this thing.
All right. Good deal. Put a bow on it. Put it under the tree. Okay. Hey, Emmy Waters 35 wants to know, can he be an insider by sending $10? Chris, answer that man over on Rumble.
Yep. So let me show you something. You will be able to, but not just this second, for a simple reason. So just let me pull this up because I want people to see it. There's a new feature on Patreon called Gifts, and I'm logged into it right now. And here's what it looks like. Okay. So there's these different types of promotions here, and membership gifting, as you can see right above it, right there, is coming soon. So Emmy Waters, do me a favor, send me an email, support@survivaldispatch.com, and I will leave it in my inbox unread. And when this becomes available, I will absolutely give you access to that. Also, send me 2 emails. Send me one with regards to this. Send me another one with your number, your cell number, and I'll add you to the Signal group as well. And so that's reserved only for insiders, but you certainly are, you support the channel. You're a good guy. I think guy, good girl, good guy, whatever. Yes, I assumed your pronouns, and happy to be flexible and let you in. So go ahead, Mike.
I mean, most of the women here are more men than a lot of the soy boys. So
some of them sure are.
Yeah. All right. Conflicted question for everybody. And yes, HTG, you need to stay within the boundaries of the box on this thing. I keep Chris to it. Why wouldn't I keep you to it? Anyway, you did not listen and did not prepare. You did not listen and did not prepare. All hell broke loose and you don't have enough ammo, food, or water. There is chaos on the streets and open looting is going on. No one who you turn to as far as friends and family could take you and your family in. It's kind of a dick move on their part. Would you become a criminal to provide for your family and join the looters or not? If the answer is no, how would you survive? Ready? Go. Let's hear from you. Stay in the box, guys. Come on.
So I'll do this first. You know what this reminds me of, Mike? This reminds me of last year or the year before when I was in Puget Sound in Washington State, and we were having a conversation on, you know, if the shit hit the fan, what would I do to get home catty corner across the entire country back here to Florida? And our family there lived very close to an industrial park that has these huge distribution centers for Amazon, Walmart, all sorts of things like that. And typically those types of installations don't have a ton of employees. So my answer to this would be, I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep my family alive, but I'm not going to go looting retail stores like we see happen at Walmart and Target and stuff like that. I'm going to look for whichever's closest, which could be office buildings, and they might be government office buildings or distribution centers. The office buildings, people bring food to work with them. There's probably a couple of fridges on every single floor of most office buildings that has food in them. I'd be checking stuff out there. Also, who expects you to go and break into something like the IRS office or something like that? And if the distribution centers were closer, I would go to the distribution centers. The security at the best times is not great for distribution centers. And I would do whatever is necessary there, not just for food, but if a distribution center had any way to create a shelter, Mike, that's what I'd be grabbing from there as well. So that's my answer. You're up.
All right. Yeah, I'm kind of on the in-between on this as well. Yes, I am willing to do extremely bad things for my family and have in the past, which is why I'm working on my karma these days. Chris, you and I have had that discussion. I've, not necessarily always been a nice person. I'm not going to hurt anybody that doesn't need hurt. There's lots and lots of uninhabited homes in America, period. Airbnbs, the like. There's lots of places that people don't live in. There's my shelter. I'm going to be able to find food somewhere, but yes, I'm not going to hurt anybody to wind up getting that food. Man, friends and family bailing on you like that. That's, you know what? You don't need that family. And I'm going to work my way into, with my skills, I'm going to wind up working my way into getting myself and my family accepted in some form of a community that we can provide assistance to. Because unlike a lot of people that prep, a lot of people that prep just want to have things and not train. Yeah, I'm looking at a bunch of you out there in the audience. Train. When you lose all your preps to a 30-foot high wall of water, the only thing you have left is your skills.
Amen to that. So
I'm
actually,
now off my soapbox.
well, not entirely, because we're discombobulated. I did not want to steal JJ's momentum that he had at the beginning, but I almost forgot the cardinal rule here, Mike, and that is action items for our audience. What can you do in light of all this shit that's going on, all the stuff that JJ described earlier? So I've got a number of bullets. I'm going to throw them out there pretty quickly. And then, Mike, if you want to critique them, by all means do so. So number one, I already mentioned it. Support JJ by buying access to his movies for $9.99. It's a heck of a good deal. Number two, if you're looking to donate money, donate to somebody like Lieutenant Colonel Doc Pete Chambers' group, the Remnant Ministry. They are in North Carolina right now. It's total nonprofit, by the way. When you donate money there, nobody's getting a paycheck. But if you look in the middle here, you'll see Operation Millstone. They've done a lot of work on the border and a lot of work when it comes to child sex trafficking. So good place to send your money, remnantministrytexas.org. Grindstone Ministries, Mike can speak to that when I'm done with these bullets. But that's another good choice as well. Let me see. Take one person to the polls with you on November the 5th who doesn't normally vote. Phone down, eyes up when you're in public. Be aware that these Hispanic gangs like TDA go from 0 to 100 in the blink of an eye. If you get into a confrontation with them, it's going to happen very, very fast. And you've got to mentally, picture yourself going through that and thinking what you're going to do if sudden violence breaks out all of a sudden. Write to your Congress critters and object to all of the crappy decisions they're making that are anti-American. Just like my rep here in Volusia Flagler, Michael Walsh, Green Beret, voted for him twice. And then what's he do this past spring? He voted against FISA requiring warrants to spy on all of us, but still requiring warrants to spy on any senators or congressional reps. Totally one-sided. He is now part of the swamp. His staff's written me letters, and he won't get another vote from me because he exposed himself there. And last thing that you can do to help is spread the word for Survival Dispatch News and other truth tellers. JJ would be a truth teller. Doc Pete is a truth teller. Todd Callender is a truth teller. Spread the word. Help us get the word out there, because evil thrives in the darkness, and we have to shine a light into all these corners to affect positive change. And it's not going to happen from our mainstream media. Just look at our video that got taken down last night. Mike, anything else?
That's why you call your mortar support and get them to drop a loom over their heads. Oh, wait, no, I don't have that anymore. Never mind. Sorry. For if you want to give to folks, if you're looking to donate to a couple of great causes up in my people's land up in Appalachistan, Grindstone Ministries is great. They're doing incredible stuff. U.S. Men's Academy is doing great stuff up there. That's our old couple of our folks working
Joe
up
Paisley,
there.
Joe Paisley, Jason Sawyer.
Yep, those guys are up there doing the deed. And then if you are looking to help on the child sex trafficking side, or even child trafficking, period, the folks from Barry Independent run Caleb House. And I will tell you right now, Caleb House is an outstanding organization. They are nonprofit. They do the deed and they do the ugly things. Believe me, they will go out and they will get the kids. But then they don't just bring them back and then just throw them out into the wild. Okay. They bring them in and they help get them untied between their ears and their heart. And yeah, they're doing the hard things, and it ain't easy.
Well said, Mike. For our insiders, by the way, we prepared a brief for tonight like we always do, but we didn't cover it. It has a bunch of links to different stories that normally we would bring up, but JJ is just a phenomenal guest. I will have that posted for both paying and non-paying insiders. Give me about 5 minutes to get it posted up. And you're welcome to peruse it and read through the notes and check out all the links that we were going to share. That's it. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And God bless America.